This is a new 2019 Lincoln Nautilus. As Lincoln is changing the names again of all their products to help you figure out where it actually sits, this is the new MKX. It's actually quite a handsome truck. I'll touch on that in a few moments. Now, if you do want a new Nautilus, the base vehicle starts at $48,950. It's actually fairly well equipped. A 2-liter turbo, 8-speed automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, so on and so forth. My vehicle starts on, or as a reserve, which is the second and only other trim, and it starts at just over $54,000. My tester of the week, you might guess, is a little bit more expensive than that. It has all the bells and whistles. Okay, you ready for this? Driver assistance package, 22-way seats with massaging function, the ultimate package with the 21-inch wheels, which are absolutely gorgeous. Also includes the full LED lights, front, rear, inside, everything. Adaptive dampers, the whole shebang. Also has vented seats, blah, 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 all kinds of safety stuff. Anyhow, the list is so long, I'm trying to skip through as much as I possibly can. So are you ready to guess how much my tester goes for? Hang on. Just over $71,000. Let that sink in. 71. No, this is not a Navigator. It's just a Nautilus. Anyhow, styling-wise, though, I have to say, the more I look at it, the better it comes together. And if you're like me, you're looking for problems, this is actually not an assembly issue. It's actually just, it follows the way the light is cut in. The proportions on this thing are perfect. The way it sits, the stance, the width. I said stance, yes. Very, very attractive crossover, and the sizing is just right too. Feels big, it's not that big. Anyhow, let's go for the tour. Proof 2.7 double T, which I forgot to mention is also part of my $71,000 tester. Power hatch, which reveals a Nissan snow brush. Just under 1,100 liters of trunk space. Very, very usable. I had the massive stroller in here. The depth is perfect. The height is okay as long as you don't use the tonneau cover, which for some reason forgot about a whole section of the trunk back here. The seat backs do recline, but even so. So great trunk, good size. Back here, well, the two kids' seats are in here. So what I can say is that the wife was sitting in here at one point during the drive earlier today, and it's decent. It's decently comfortable. Rear heated seats included in here too. That's about it. The leather is obviously lovely. You get a better shot right here. And 22-way power lumbar, and that's the magic button right there, massaging. This thing has the Revel Ultima audio system, which speaker grills are gorgeous. Real woods, but I don't know about the glossy finish, but the way it all comes together, it's quite nice. Let's get inside. Weird start-stop button. Those controls, actually, while I'm here, this whole center console is pretty much lifted from the MKC that I first drove 5 years ago. Still works, still very functional. The ergonomics are spot on, but I don't know, somehow it seems dated, but it's not really dated, it's just me. And it does hide lovely storage under the bridge. No? Red Hot Chili Pepper fans? No? Okay, so this is the lovely fully digital screen, which can be configured using the controls here, various setups here, and then you can change all kinds of other settings. You can have the nav show up and change the display. Anyhow, like I said, all kinds of assistance package for the driving. Revel Ultima. The sound is quite impressive. Storage, actually pretty good. This is fairly deep, and it has the wireless charging pad in there. This compartment is actually, if I can get it, there we go. Very, very deep, so you can lose stuff in there if you're not careful. The seats are quite comfortable, especially when you do use the massaging function. The interior is very intimate, very Ford. It's not claustrophobic, but it really closes around you. but it's still fairly big in here. It's a strange mix, if you will. But again, it just, I don't know, it sits so right. Anyhow, the drive is actually pretty good. So let's go do that. All right, so driving the Lincoln Nautilus is, well, exactly as it's always been from behind the wheel of an MKX or an Edge. And this is going back, geez, I think I went to the launch of the Edge in 2007, so 12 years running. Now, these vehicles feel the exact same way. What I'm trying to say is that I swear that I'm sitting on a submarine or a tank or a locomotive. It feels so heavy, this truck. Like, it's unbelievably heavy. I mean, it's not that heavy, not much heavier than, say, I don't know, a GLE or something like that. It's still closing in on 2,000 kilos, but it's not so unusual. It's somehow the way the chassis is tuned and the platform and all that. But in this particular fully loaded reserve, I do have the 2.7 turbo, twin turbo, V6 EcoBoost engine. In fact, the same engine that's in the Edge ST, which I have not driven yet. But I can't imagine is going to feel much quicker than this. It might feel sportier because the chassis will be tuned differently. Because this does have adaptive dampers and the most complicated and unuser-friendly drive modes. I mean, you gotta, you gotta go to settings, take your eyes off, drive control, okay. So then you select handling in D. I'm currently in normal, but I can go into comfort if I want. Okay, so I back out of that. So if I want handling in S, because there's an S sport mode for the 8-speed automatic, I'm in sport, so we're all good. Performance in S, okay. So I have it in sport, so that's perfectly fine. So what does that tell you? You never, ever, are you ever going to use these drive modes? They're completely useless. At least they don't have fancy names like the Navigator. Okay, getting back to the 2.7 double T. That's 380 pound-feet of torque as of 3,000 RPM, 335 horsepower, which is considerable in the segment. And when boost comes on, even in normal, yeah, this thing really rocks. It's actually quite a lot of fun, surprisingly, despite the weight, especially in traffic. When you're trying to boot around, it's all about the torque. The torque is beautiful. The 8-speed automatic transmission, just to push buttons. I'm so on again, off again about how they work and how they respond. Anyway, beyond that, it's a weird duck, because even in normal, I'm gonna go back, here we go, drive control, blah, blah, blah. Even in normal, when you do get onto the highway, you know, with a heavy right foot, it'll shift, it's going, it's doing its thing. But in the city at lower speeds, you know, one short trip out of two, you feel the shifts. It's very weird, and it's not always pleasant. Like the occasional downshift, it hits, knocks. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated, but zero refinement. On the subject of refinement, and this kind of ties into the weight that this vehicle exudes, the ride quality is supremely comfortable, almost lazy-like, but it's beautiful. I was in the city in downtown Broken Street, Montreal, earlier today, and I mean, it soaked all the brokenness without really complaining, despite the 21-inch wheels. There's another thing that this Reserve has with all the options, and that's this active steering business, which at lower speeds reduces the steering input required to, you know, take a 90-degree corner, so you don't turn. Like the turns lock from lock are much shorter, or fewer, I should say, than at higher speeds, which kind of makes sense. But twice now, it's really weird, and it's something you will get used to, is if you get off the highway, you know, a little bit of a country drive, and steering is slower to react, and then you get into the city immediately after getting off the highway, whatever, and then steering ratios change. It's almost off-putting. But I suppose if this is your daily driver, you won't even notice that, and it becomes absolutely natural. The brakes are a little bit grabby, but again, that's something you can get used to. Like there's little progression in brake pedal response. But the highlights, comfortable, quiet, the adaptive dampers will soak up everything, and the power. Whoa, the power. That's nuts. And this is just in normal drive mode. In sport, things kind of get spicy a little bit. But it doesn't feel right, doesn't feel natural because it's so heavy. Anyway, I really like this, but I could not see myself actually springing for one. Especially not this fully loaded reserve for a $71,000. Are they mad? For that price, I'm going to get a Macan or spend an extra $12,000 or so and get a base Cayenne. And there are a few other options, obviously. But yeah, that's it. It's a lovely vehicle, but I don't know. Not at this price point.